What's going on, boxing fans? It's Julian Williams with The Distance. I'm here with another fantasy matchup. Very good matchup from Platinum Lion Boxing. One of my co-members, one of my teammates on the boxing union, sent me this one, and I thought it was a really good matchup. And it's kind of a shame that this matchup didn't even happen. Big George Foreman versus the Black Destroyer, Earnie Shavers, two of the biggest punchers in the 1970s, along with Ron Lyle, another big puncher. But what both these men have in common is they both fought Ron Lyle, and I thought Lyle versus Foreman is actually one of my favorite matchups to watch. Both men getting big shots in, but Foreman has a victory over Lyle, even though he did almost lose to Lyle, almost got knocked out by Lyle. And Ernie Shavers has a loss to Ron Lyle. He lost to Ron Lyle. But anyway, on to the matchup. Both big heavyweights. Well, actually, Foreman's actually the bigger of the two. Shavers is about 6 foot, I believe, 6', 6'1", around that area, and Foreman, I think, is a bit taller. But I think George Foreman. I think at that time when he was younger, he did use his left jab a lot. He jabbed quite a bit compared to Shavers. Everybody says that Shavers is one of the hardest punching heavyweights of all time. And I can't say whether he is or not, because I never fought a heavyweight fight or whatever. Never fought Ernie Shavers, so I can't be the judge of that. But with all the boxers saying that Shavers is one of the hardest punches of all time, then you have to really go with that. But George Foreman, it has to be second or third to that in the 1970s. But when you think of this matchup, what stands out to me is the losses that Ernie Shavers has had. He's been beaten, different ways. He was, it's like this: if you have fast hands and you could put together combinations, you could beat Ernie Shavers just like that. Just look at the Jerry Quarry fight. Because how it is with Shavers is Shavers was there to be hit. His defense was not that good, even though he would stand in the shell at times or have his guard up quite a bit. He still got hit. Punches still went through that guard. So I think that George Foreman was a little more polished, as far as skill goes, because Foreman used his jab. Foreman earlier in his career, like in 1970, he was actually able to move around on his toes. Actually, was able to move around, was a bit more mobile before he became kind of a come forward guy, and that would like to hit. And on top of that, Foreman could move side to side as well. Compared to Shavers. Shavers was kind of a stalker as well. He was kind of a stalker, but with Shavers, his type of stalking was go in and throw a shot. But there was just different ways to beat Ernie Shavers. I think that in this match, George Foreman would probably bomb out Ernie Shavers very early. I'm a fan of Ernie Shavers. Don't get me wrong. Even though because I could talk about Foreman as well. Foreman, his stamina was not that good. And on top of that, you can't really blame Foreman for that, because he was knocking out guys early. He knocked out Ken Norton early. I believe he did knock out Ken Norton early, but I know for sure he knocked out Joe Frazier early. Like in the second round. So you have Joe Frazier and you have Ken Norton, two top heavyweights at that time. He did step in the ring with Ali, and like by the time he was knocked out, he was tired, because he was standing there and he threw shots. But when Foreman's shots land, he was gonna be there all night. He was gonna be coming forward. But there are times that see, like I said, Shavers was there to be hit. Foreman was there to be countered. You could land a well-timed counter shot on Foreman and hurt him. Like in the Ron Lyle fight, you could. It's very evident that when George Foreman threw his right hand, he was open to the right, to the right hand from Ron Lyle. And that's what happens when you're kind of a swarmer. Sometimes you're going to be open to that counter shot. 90% of the time, you're going to be open to the counter shot, the counter right or left hook. But if I have to choose somebody for this matchup, I'm gonna say George Foreman wins this matchup probably by, I say, knockout in the fourth round. I'm gonna say knockout in the fourth round because I think Foreman. Honestly, I think Foreman would stand there and just trade shots with Shavers. These in the early goings and knock him out. Because just because when you think about it, Foreman. The difference between Foreman and Shavers is I think Foreman was a bit tougher. I think he was a bit tougher than Shavers because Foreman's been hit. He's been hit. And been hit hard. And he stayed in the fights. And the only fight he didn't was against Ali in Zaire. But other than that, when Ron Lyle was hitting him hard, and that's the match that's always going to stand out to me for George Foreman, is the Ron Lyle versus George Foreman matchup when Lyle was just hitting him with all kinds of hard right hands and just showed that Foreman did have a lot of heart. Along with that, and the Norton fight, he was always there. Even when he gets hit, he's always going to be there. So I think that George Foreman will swarm Earnie Shavers, and I think that since Foreman was a lot stronger than Jerry Quarry, and stronger and bigger than Ron Lyle, and bigger than I think he was bigger than Larry Holmes. I just think that Foreman would actually defeat. I think he'll defeat Ron Lyle by knockout in the fourth round. Because Lyle has been beaten different ways, and it was proven in the Quarry fight that if you could put together combinations, and you put together you put your shots together very well, they're gonna split his guard. So I'm gonna say George Foreman fourth round knockout. But anyway, that was Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.